Hey, if you've ever, and I mean ever, felt like the world of productivity planners and those super rigid schedules just wasn't built for you, well, this explainer is. Today, we're going to talk about a much gentler, more compassionate way to think about your day, especially if you're navigating life with energy that, goes up and down. So let's start with a feeling that might just be a little too familiar.
It's just such a frustrating place to be, isn't it? It doesn't matter if it's chronic pain or the unique way a neurodivergent brain is wired, or even both. That feeling of having one really good, productive day only to pay for it with the next 3 days of just total exhaustion. It's so common. And it can really make you feel like you're failing at just existing.
This comment from a Reddit user just hits the nail on the head. The problem isn't you. It isn't some personal failing. It's that so many of these popular systems, they just aren't designed for brains that experience time differently, or for bodies that have really unpredictable energy levels. If this sounds like you, trust me, you are not alone in this.
Okay, so let's unpack why these systems so often miss the mark. Because understanding the why is really the first step toward finding a way to plan that actually supports you instead of just stressing you out even more.
This analogy from neurodivergence whales is honestly a perfect way to picture this. I want you to think of your brain's executive functions as being the conductor of a huge orchestra. They're the one in charge of coordinating all the different sections. You've got memory, attention, focus, planning, to make beautiful music, or, in our case, just to get a task done.
So, when we're talking about executive dysfunction, it doesn't mean the musicians in the orchestra are bad. Not at all. It just means the conductor is having a really tough time directing everybody. And this can make planning and prioritizing and just regulating your own actions feel totally chaotic. Like every single instrument is playing a different song at the exact same time.
And that chaos can show up as some really common and very real challenges. Things like time blindness, where you genuinely have no sense of how long something is going to take. Or maybe you get sucked into hyper-focusing on organizing a bookshelf when there's a huge, important deadline coming up. We also know from research and just countless stories that sensory things like background noise or bright lights can just drain your battery, leaving you exhausted before you've even started the important stuff.
So this leads us to this really crucial pattern that so many people with chronic fatigue or pain or neurodivergence get stuck in. It's called the boom or bust cycle. And just being able to recognize it is an absolute game changer.
So the cycle kind of looks like this. First, you hit a boom day. You feel great. You've got energy, you've got focus, and you try to cram in absolutely everything you couldn't do when you were feeling bad, right? You push way past your body's limits. But what comes next is, inevitably, the bust. It's a crash. You get slammed with this deep fatigue, sensory overload, and just a total collapse in motivation.
And here's the real danger. This just is not a sustainable way to live. Every single time you go through this boom and bust, the recovery period gets longer, the burnout gets deeper, and it becomes harder and harder to even get back to your baseline. The goal isn't to have more boom days. The goal is to get out of the cycle completely. So, how do we escape? We have to change our goal. Completely. Instead of chasing this idea of productivity, we start aiming for something much kinder and way more sustainable. Pacing. And that simple shift, that's the foundation for everything else. And this isn't just some nice, fluffy idea. It's a real, recognized therapeutic strategy. Research from occupational therapy actually shows that pacing and conserving your energy are key for managing chronic conditions. It's all about learning to work with your body, not fighting against it.
Now, to really practice pacing, it helps to make this abstract idea of energy a little more solid. Here are 3 really popular ways to do that. You've got spoon theory, where you start each day with a set number of spoons, and every little thing you do costs spoons. There's the traffic light system, which helps you visually balance high-energy red light tasks with restful green light ones. And then there's energy accounting, where you treat your energy like a bank account, paying attention to both the withdrawals and the deposit.
All right, let's get practical. How can we actually use these ideas to plan our day? Well, the answer is a really flexible approach that's all about blocking your energy, not your time.
This right here is the most important mental shift.
We are not trying to build a rigid, punishing schedule. The whole point of these blocks is to build a little protective fence around your energy and your focus. It's a structure that's meant to create safety and keep you from accidentally running on empty.
So here's how you can gently start. First, just think about the types of energy your regular tasks use up. Is it physical energy, mental, social? Next, you can make a little menu of your common activities and what kind of energy they require. Then, you just loosely sketch these blocks into your day. And sketch is the key word. This is not set in stone. And finally, and this is so important, leave white space. Leave empty time. That's not wasted time, it's essential recovery time.
The whole point is to have a schedule that feels like a gentle guide, with lots of room to breathe. Think of it more like a map for your energy, not a cage for your time. If you need to swap a mental energy block for a rest block, you just do it. You're always the one in charge.
Okay, this brings us to the final, and I think maybe the most powerful piece of this whole puzzle. What happens when you can't follow the plan? When the day just doesn't go how you sketched it out?
I want you to just let that sink in for a second. Missing a block does not mean you failed. It doesn't mean the system is broken, and it definitely doesn't mean that you are broken. It is simply information. It's data. Data that you can use to learn more about what your mind and your body actually need.
So the goal is to get curious, not critical. Instead of beating yourself up, you just ask questions. What can I learn from this? Maybe that high focus task is actually better for me in the morning. Or maybe a 90-minute block was just too long to begin with. This data makes you the world's leading expert on yourself.
And that is the real takeaway. This whole thing isn't about figuring out how to do more. It's about creating a life that is, above everything else, sustainable and kind to yourself. Thanks for joining this explainer today.